Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. You're in Hawk Country, here with Jammin With Jenks, along with Tyler Smith and Doug Newton. I'm Cedric Jenkins, Assistant Coach, Women's Basketball. We're here with our special guest today, Mr. Keith Davidson, Athletic Director here at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Mr. Davidson, thank you for your time, and thank you for being a part of our program.
Thank you, Coach Jenkins, for having me.
Now, how long have you been at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore?
I've been here for 14 years now, Coach, 15 in May.
Wow, that's a long time.
It went by fast.
Wow. Now, when you started here as a compliance officer, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that with Ms. Connor, who's now our current compliance officer. But I want you to talk a little bit about how that position has prepared you as being athletic director here at UMES.
Well, before I talk about that, I'd like to say that when I first came here as compliance officer, that Ms. Connor was my graduate assistant, and I think that she is an excellent compliance director. I tease her all the time. I tell her that you're better at this than I am. So I like to think that I did something right by training her. So you're right. My background was in compliance. I thought it served me well as it related to my rise through athletics and becoming an athletic director. One thing compliance allows you to do is to touch all the areas of athletics, whether it's compliance, sports information, academics, and so the training room, sports medicine. So you get to be involved in all aspects of athletics, and then it also helps kind of legitimize you through the process of interviewing for athletic directors, in the sense that it gives presidents confidence that you are going to follow the rules and maintain the integrity that we try to achieve in athletics.
Now, what are some of your biggest challenges as being athletic director?
Probably, the financial side of athletics, the business side of it, and the dealing with being self-supporting, fully self-sufficient, and to generate those revenues. It's really the business of athletics. You always have challenges as it relates to the evolution of student athletes. As I seem to get older each year and they seem to get younger. And so that's always a challenge of dealing with generational aspects of reaching out to young people and communicating to them and getting across to them. But I would think that the financial challenges that we face with athletics and sports being a business, and balancing the business side with the more human or personal side of athletics.
And I'm sure a lot of people don't take into those effects, the business applications of how it affects athletics and just the support of it or non-support, how it really truly affects the competitiveness of a university.
Competitiveness of a university, programs, and also how it affects student athletes too. Student athletes come to our university from all walks of life, and a lot of times they bring the challenges that they face back at home with them here on campus. And so part of our responsibility is that we have to embrace these young people because we bring them up here, so we have to take responsibility for them as it relates to them working through their development as people, students, athletes.
And we've talked about some of the challenges a little bit. Let's talk about some of the joys that it brings to an athletic director. Talk about what has brought you the most joy in your position.
Probably what brings me the most joy is your close involvement with student athletes, seeing them succeed, being a part of that, helping them to achieve the goals that they set out, not only athletically but academically, and helping to put them in a position to succeed, particularly and encouraging them to succeed, because a lot of times they achieve things that they didn't really think that they could achieve, or that were beyond them. And it's a joy to see them succeed. It's not necessarily a joy to see them fail, but it's just as rewarding to see them pick themselves up, because as you well know, it doesn't matter how successful you are, you have probably failed more than you have succeeded in life. I know as coaches, very few coaches win more games than they've lost. So we get into athletics because of our love for competition, not based upon winning and losing. Those are byproducts of competition. And so my greatest joy is the success that I can see our student athletes have, and also watching them achieve academically by walking down that aisle and receiving that diploma.
Thank you. Mr. Davidson, you just talked about competitors and sports. You just hired a new men's head coach Bobby Collins. What do you look for? What are certain characteristics that you look for in a leader that's going to lead one of your programs?
Well, you look for the right kind of character. So there's good character and there's bad character. In Coach Collins's case, what really jumped out at us was his relationship with student athletes, being able to speak to student athletes today, how to challenge them, how to speak to their needs. Okay, and it's that's not always an easy thing. People might take that for granted, but I think if you can get people to buy into you and believe in your system and in your philosophy, uh, that's a big thing. Not everybody can do that, and to get young people to buy in. Uh, Coach Khan has a strong character based in his faith, which was impressive to me, as well as in family. And I think that he brings that perspective to the team. Also, discipline was very important and something that really jumped out at us as a positive when we hired him, because we knew that uh, when young people have discipline, they say they don't want it.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the absence of it, they cry for it. And
Yes.
so that discipline has to be at the forefront of everything that we do. Accountability, because that comes along with discipline. So I would have to say those are the characteristics that really jumped out at us as it related to looking at Coach Collins and making the final decision that he was the right fit for our program.
Okay, okay. Now, Mr. Davidson, talking a little bit about student athletes a little bit more. One thing, being an alumnus of this fine institution
Yes,
here.
you are.
The past 4 years, we've been recognized by the conference of having the highest graduation rate among our student athletes. How has that made you feel, knowing that your student athletes are succeeding in the classroom the way that they are?
Coach Jenkins, that's probably the what I'm most proudest of as my tenure as athletic director. Not volleyball championships, cross country championships, bowling championships, but the success that we have had in graduating our student athletes. I think that is the barometer to use as it relates to gauging academic success, and to have had the highest graduation rate in the conference for the past 5 years, having been awarded over $100,000 from the MEAC conference for that distinction, is what I'm most proud of as athletic director. And I think it speaks to the strength of our program and how we're preparing young people to meet the challenges that they'll face once they leave here after graduation.
Well, if you come to UMES, you're going to get a degree out of here.
Well, we don't guarantee a lot of things, but I tell parents all the time that if your son or daughter meets us halfway, then after 4 years, you'll be coming up here for graduation, and they'll be handing you that diploma that they've earned.
It's good to know. Good to know. Please talk a little bit about the mission of the athletic department.
Well, our athletic department mission is in line with the university's mission, and really what we want to do is to forward the university's mission through athletic competition and the values that we learn through athletic competition. Mainly here, our mission in the department is scholarship, sportsmanship, and citizenship. And those are the three areas that we focus on as it relates to making a difference in young people's lives, and also creating the kind of atmosphere on campus that is conducive to pride and increasing the quality of life here on campus. You're watching Jammin With Jenks at the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore.
And Mr. Davidson, please talk to us a little bit about, when you began working in athletics, did you ever envision yourself being athletic director?
No, I didn't. To be honest with you, Coach Jenkins, athletics was something that I fell into, and had the opportunity working with my mentor, Nelson Townsend, who introduced me to this whole athletic thing. I'm a little bit older than you, Coach Jenkins, so when I came out of high school or college, a lot of these sport management programs were in their infancy, and so I was a history major and a political science major, getting my graduate degree, and so a lot of people of my generation had the idea, well, if you weren't coaching or participating in athletics or being a trainer or a referee, then what was your involvement in athletics?
Okay.
And my exposure to athletics first came as coordinator of student services when the NCAA started to pay attention to what was happening with student athletes off the field of competition. Male-female relationships, drugs and alcohol issues, those types of things, and speaking to student athletes about those things. And I got exposed to all areas of athletics, sports information, the business side of it, marketing and sponsorships and things. And so uh, I was lucky enough to have a mentor who exposed me to a lot of things and gave me an opportunity to experience things and to have some successes and failures and to figure out where my niche was. And I kind of fell into compliance because as coordinating the student services program, I reported directly to the compliance director. Okay. And so that's how I learned compliance as it related to contact with student athlete, permissible contact with student athletes, and things like that. And it grew from there, and I was able to learn on the job and gain that skill, and then got an opportunity to put that into practice as the compliance director at Texas Southern University in Houston. Okay. And so that's where I kind of cut my teeth on this, and then got an opportunity to come here as the compliance director, and things happen and people move on, and after 3 years was given an opportunity to audition for the position of athletic director, and after a year was successful in earning the position.
And I've had an opportunity to meet Mr. Townsend, and he's a great individual. He's in our UMES Hall of Fame here, and it's just been a pleasure and everything. Just knowing him, the little bit of time that I've been around him and things like that. So, speaking of Mr. Townsend, I'd like to ask you: are there any other individuals who's influenced you of being the man that you are today?
First and foremost, I'd have to say, my family. My mother. I was mother's a single parent raising a son in Philadelphia, and I think back, that in some respects I may not supposed to be here, as athletic director, and I'm here because of those things that she taught me, her encouragement, and her teaching me that Keith, you can do anything that you put your mind to, and sometimes we forget how great we can be, or the greatness that can be inside of us, and challenge ourselves. And this is where what's important about not being afraid to fail, okay, and stepping out of your comfort zone, and doing things, and taking opportunities when they present themselves that may take you away from family and friends. And those were some of the opportunities that I had, but I had to leave my comfort zone. I had to travel away. And I think it was what she taught me. My mother realized that there was a great, big, old, beautiful world out there for you to experience, but you couldn't if you were attached to her apron strings. So at every chance that she had, she pushed me to excel and to challenge myself with new opportunities. And so I'd have to think that first and foremost it was my mother. I always had strong men in my life who gave me direction and accountability. And I also, too, have had the opportunity to work with some colleagues since I've been here at the MEAC who have served as resources and examples. Commissioner Thomas, the commissioner of the MEAC, has been a great source of reference for me, has always been gracious with his time and advice and encouragement.
Now, you mentioned West Philadelphia. You mentioned Philadelphia. You wasn't born in West Philadelphia. Born and raised in playgrounds.
I was in Germantown.
So. Germantown. Okay. I was referencing maybe they sent you off to Bel Air somewhere or something like that. I'm sorry, I couldn't help you go as far as referencing Fresh Prince and everything like that. And your son Drew attends UMES here. How special is that for you to have your son here at the university?
It's fun. I don't know how great it is for him to have his dad around. One thing I realized is, I went to a small, historically black college right outside of Philadelphia called Lincoln University, and what was great about it is that I was close enough to home if there was an emergency, but I was far enough away from home that I knew my mother wasn't knocking on my door. And so I have to remind myself that it cannot be easy for him all the time to be going to college with his dad. Okay, and his friends, know me, but it's great. I couldn't ask for a finer young man to raise, and it's been a pleasure, and just encouraging him as a student and watching him grow into a young man, and challenging himself academically, and going through those growing pains. It reminds me of going through college myself, and I use that to give me the patience I need to deal with a 19-year-old. So, so right now he's doing great. If I can just raise his level of wanting independence to meet the level of responsibility I want him to have.
Okay. I know that's always a challenge.
Yeah.
Now, I know
Well, you'll find out soon enough.
exactly soon enough. One day he was you were out taking care of campus business, and he happened to be sitting behind your desk, and I couldn't help but say, "Hi, Mr. Davidson, how you doing?" And he just burst out laughing. So he caught the joke and everything.
He gets a big kick out of that, and I'm hopefully maybe he's a sophomore now, so maybe in 2 years from now I'll have my office back and my desk. But that's I have to remind myself sometimes that these are good times, and I look back fondly on that, and having him around, and so I'm trying to enjoy it as much as I can.
And one final question for you, Mr. Davidson. Just tell everyone, let us know, what do athletic directors do when they're not taking care of university business? How do you all relax and spend your time outside? Hopefully you're not at home just thinking about business.
Well, you know what? That's a good question, Coach Jenkins, because I think a lot of times for me it is turning my brain off. I'll come in here, and I know Nima and some other people will think I'm crazy because I'll come in here in the morning talking about something that that popped into my head at 10 o'clock, at night. And so it's never far from my mind because I love and I like what I do. So my job is never this journey or this job to turn things off. What I try to do is to be able to find time for myself and my family, and as whether it's my son or my mother. In terms of relaxing, sometimes I like to get out and play golf. I've started with Coach Batchelor going out and working out in the gym now, and to stay active and to get some exercise. But I really like what I do. It's something new every day. It allows me to travel and do a lot of interesting things that don't always seem like work. And so it's not something that I'm always looking to shut down or to get away from or to escape from. So for me, it's finding some peace, being able to turn your brain off a little bit, and relax, and maybe play some golf and enjoy family, friends, those types of things.
Mr. Davidson, again, want to thank you for your time and allowing the community to get to know you a little bit better and some of the things you have to do as far as athletic director here at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. I'd like to thank you for watching us and taking a look into our lives here at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, along with myself, assistant coach of women's basketball Cedric Jenkins, Tyler Smith, and Doug Newton. I'd like to thank you again for watching Jammin with Jenkins. Thank you for being with us. Join us again next week as we'll have another special guest for you. And remember, a calm sea doesn't make a skilled sailor. Thank you for your time. See you later. God bless.